Well, Dodie Stevens is an American rock and pop singer best known for her 1959 song Pink Shoelaces, which debuted at number 96 on the Billboard charts and then eventually peaked at number 3. And she's with us here just now. How are you today?
I'm good today on Friday. How about you?
Yeah, I'm doing great as well. Now, of course, you're best known for the song Pink Shoelaces, which you sung when you were only 13 years old. How did you get to sing that song?
I was on a local television show in Los Angeles, California, and I was 11 years old when I was on this show, and I was singing a song, and I don't even remember what song it was, but I was singing a song. It was this local show that was telling everybody what was going on in their community and that kind of thing. And so here I was, a little 11-year-old girl that was singing, and I sang this song on the show. And on the same show was a new artist that was recording on Crystalette Records. His name was Vic Dana. And so Carl Burns, who's the president of Crystalette Records, was watching the show to see his new artist and happened to see me on the same show.
Wow.
And he was very impressed with me. He was like, well, she can sing good for a youngster. So he called the television station, spoke with my parents, asked if I was signed to anybody, was I on a record label? No, I wasn't. And I'm very interested in signing your daughter to my label, but I have to get just the right song because she's so young. It couldn't be like a love song or the other songs that were out around that time. Now, mind you, this was, okay, so if I was 11, that would have been 1957. And so that was that. He said, I will be in touch when I get just the right song. Almost 2 years later, he called. Wow. And we had forgotten about him. My parents forgot about him. I forgot about him, Now, by then, I'm 12 years old by the time he called. So it was actually less than 2 years when he called. And he said, I don't know if you remember me, but yada, yada, yada. And I've got this great song that I think your daughter would be perfect for.
Wow.
And that was in 1958, at the end of 1958. So went into the studio, recorded Pink Shoelaces. I didn't like it. I thought it was a very silly song, but it was meant to be silly. The writer purposely wrote it to be as silly of a lyric as you could possibly imagine. I mean, think about it, Toby. One of the lyrics in the song is about having a 12-foot yacht. What yacht is 12 feet? A rowboat isn't. You know what I'm saying? Is bigger than 12 feet. So she purposely, Mickey Grant is her name, and she purposely wrote it to be just as silly and funny and it was a hit. She didn't think it was going to be a hit either. So I recorded it at the end of 1958 when I was still 12. It was released in 1959. And I turned 13 in February of 1959, and that's when the record was released, and it was a hit record.
And you mentioned that you didn't really like it at the time. How do you feel about the song now as you've perhaps gotten older?
I'm very proud of it, to have accomplished something at such a young age, and then to have continued because of that song, and the fame that it brought me and the success. Because of it, I've been able to continue throughout my career all these years doing what I love to do: sing, perform, write. I write music. It's just, it's been wonderful. So I'm very proud of this song. Now, here's another thing I will share with you. When I do it on stage, which I do op shows quite often throughout the years. And so when I do it, even though it's just the silliest song, right? Like I told you about some of the lyrics, I have fun with it. I kind of act it out, and my daughter Stephanie is in the show with me, and so she's kind of acting out some stuff too. And I just make fun not make fun of it, but I have fun with it. Sometimes when I have enough time to do on stage, I'll ask somebody to come up from the audience and be Dooley and play Dooley. And so they come up on stage with me, and then I'm singing to them as Dooley. And it's just kind of a fun thing. And then they have to memorize one of the verses, and it just becomes fun for the audience, for me, and the person that volunteers. Because, it's not, I'm going to pick somebody out of the audience and humiliate. No, it's somebody want to come up and do that. And invariably, there's all kinds of folks that want to do that. So, a guy will come up and I will do that. So that's fun.
Yeah. And of course, your real name isn't Dodie Stevens. Your real name is actually Geraldine Pasquale. They actually gave you the name Dodie Stevens, right?
Oh, of course they did. Because back then, I don't know if you realize it or not. And now it's different. Now you just have your real name. Yeah. Well, not always, but back then you had to have a stage name. Everybody had a stage name. Even Frankie Avalon, his name, he used Frankie Avalon, which was very short for his real name, which I believe was Avalone, if I'm not mistaken. So he just kind of dropped the last vowel or something, and it was Avalon. Fabian was Fabian Forte. And so they just dropped his last name and just called him Fabian. And it can go on and on, So they didn't, Pasquale was not going to be on the record label. Geraldine wasn't. So the president of Crystal Air Records was having drinks with a DJ at the time that played top 40. And he was telling his name is Johnny Grant, who eventually became the mayor of Hollywood. Wow. But at the time, in 1959, he was a DJ, top 40. So Carl Burns, the president of Crystalette, and Johnny Grant, the DJ, they were talking. He says, I just signed this girl to my label, and she's only 13. Her name is Geraldine Pasquale. We need to come up with something cute, something memorable, something you can remember. So they both kind of came up with Stevens as a last name. And then there were 3 first names that they were considering: Carol Stevens, Carmen Stevens, and Dodie Stevens. Carol, they had discovered there was an actress by the name of Carol Stevens. So that was not good. Carmen sounded a little bit too ethnic, like you would expect me to be Hispanic of some sort with the name of Carmen, But Dodie was unusual. Nobody else really had that name. I think there was an adult comic. Her name was Dodie Goodman. And that was the only other Dodie that was around at the time. So they thought Dodie Stevens was perfect for a cute little 13-year-old kid. That's how I got it.
And you mentioned Fabian there. You actually got to be in a movie with him, didn't you? Hound Dog Man.
I did. That was my first movie in 1959. And it starred Fabian and Carol Lindley and Stuart Whitman and myself. I got to co-star with Fabian in the movie. I played his girlfriend, which, let me tell you something. Back then, him being the teen idol of all teen idols, it was a dream come true that not only could I be in a movie with him and be in the same room with him, but I got to play his girlfriend in the movie. Every teenage girl wanted to be his girlfriend. I got to play it in the movie. Of course, he wanted nothing to do with me because he was 16 and I was 13 and I was just way too young. For him or anybody at that point. So, I got to play his girlfriend. Nita Stringer was her name. Wow. Nita Stringer was my role.
Yeah. So what got you interested in music and everything in the first place?
I had been singing literally all my life. Yeah. I was told that I sang before I even really talked, like in sentences or anything. I was just a kid, toddler, maybe 2 years old or something like that. And what did I want to say about that? Oh, and so this was in Chicago. I was born in Chicago. At the age of, I was either 2 or 3 when my parents decided to move to California. And when they did that, one of the things they wanted to do was to see if they could get me some voice lessons at some point, not at the age of 2, but maybe a little bit later on. And so at the age of 5 is when I had my first voice lesson.
Wow.
Yeah. And I continued to sing. I had a few, maybe 2 or 3 different voice teachers. And then this one teacher, Her name is Helen Bishop. She was the last voice teacher that I had. And it was right just before I had recorded Pink Shoelaces. And I had been with her for a couple years or so, maybe even longer than that now that I think of it. And so she was very involved in, I don't know if you know about the City of Hope, but back then in that day, there was a place kind of like St. Jude's Research Hospital for cancer children. Do you know about that?
Not sure.
Okay, well, that's what's happening now. But back then it was called the City of Hope, and it was for cancer patients. And so there were a lot of benefits that were being done to raise funds for the City of Hope. And so my voice teacher had me do some benefits, and I would sing on the stage, and she would accompany me. And I was, just a young kid. So I kept singing. I was always singing from the time of 5. And I would be in contests locally, different talent contests and that kind of thing, and TV shows. My first TV show was called the Art Linkletter House Party. And he was on every day on one of the networks. I think maybe NBC. I can't remember back then, but I was on his show and I sang a song. So that was my first. I was 7. Yeah. And so I've just been singing, honey, all my life. And then when I had Pink Shoelaces, that continued for me. And like I say, because of it, I'm still singing to this day.
Yeah.
And performing.
And how did it feel to get discovered at such a young age? Because a lot of people wait ages and maybe never even get discovered.
I don't recall that I was trying to be a star. That was a dream that I had, was to be a recording star. I don't think that it was just something I loved to do. I loved to sing. And so when it turned into a success for me, I was just as surprised as anybody else could have been. I was a teenager. I had just graduated from middle school, which was the last year was the 8th grade. And I was just going into high school as a freshman in the 9th grade when Pink Shoelaces was out there. And it was hard work. I want to let you know that, Toby. And I want to let your listeners know that being a star is not all it's cracked up to be. Yeah. It's hard work. You like here I was, 13. All my friends just getting ready to go into high school. They were all, going to parties and having fun and going to football games and just being high school kids, Here I was going on tour, having to miss a lot of school because I was on tour for maybe 2 or 3 weeks. I had to get up really, really early to catch a plane. And then I'd have to get to where I was going. And then I would have a rehearsal. Then I'd have a sound check. Then there's interviews and there's meeting with people and fans. And then you do the show and you do it. And then you go back to your room. Oh, not right away, because now you have more interviews, more fans, more stuff. Then you go back to and then you get up very, very early in the morning to catch the next plane to go to the next gig. Hard work. It's hard work. Yeah, it was hard work. In the beginning, it was exciting, but as it continued, I found myself going, wow, this isn't what I thought it was going to be, fame and stardom. Because when people see their artists on stage, they see only the best of it. They see only the best of that day. You're on stage. You're making music. They hear the band. They see everybody. Everybody's having a good time. They don't know what went on before that show or after that show. And like I say, before and after, that's the hard work. That's the tough part.
And when you sort of look back on that, do you mainly think about all the stress maybe, or do you remember the best parts of it mostly?
A little bit of both. I mean, there are memories of some wonderful times and wonderful shows that I did with some great people and other wonderful artists that I toured with at the time, Frankie Avalon and Fabian and Bobby Rydell and all these other teen idols that I was with. And then over the years, when I do these doo-wop concerts, I'm with a lot of them, again, but only we're adults, it's like I say, I have some fond memories of those good times, and then other ones, maybe not so much. And then other ones that are kind of comical and humorous. And I go, oh God, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like that.
Have you ever considered writing a book of all these memorable times?
Oh my God, honey. Yes, I have. And I've had so many people suggest that I do because, everybody has a history.
Yeah.
And you don't really know about that. All you know about is now they're famous, and all you know about is from that point on. You don't know what's gone on before. Even like after with my career, I started in 59, and in 1963, I believe it was, that I was done with show business. I quit. That was it. I'm done. I'm finished. I'm going to go and do what everybody else is doing. My friends were, in high school, and they were marrying their high school sweethearts and having a family. And I thought, oh yeah, that's what I want to do. I'm going to do that. So that was it. I quit. I'm 16 years old, 17, maybe somewhere around there. And I moved to Missouri, and I lived on a farm, and I got involved in what some might consider a religious cult for a couple of years. And so that took me in a whole other direction. Yeah. And then when I found out that, I really don't, what I've been told about this particular religion, I don't think that's the truth. And if it is, I don't want anything to do with it. Now, by then I had my daughter. She was 6 months old, and I took her and me, and we left Missouri, and I came back to California because she was born in Missouri, and resumed my career. And that was that. That was that.
Yeah. Well, you've been making music with your daughter, haven't you?
Yes, I have. I've been making music with her, actually, which you don't know about. But we have been singing together since she was 13, the same age I was when I had Pink Shoelaces. In Stephanie's case, it wasn't in a stardom kind of way. It was as a singer, a background singer. One of our jingles, we did a couple of jingles together. Jack LaLanne, I think, was the first one that Jack LaLanne, it was exercise program on TV, and he was an exercise guru at the time, Jack LaLanne. And so for his show, Stephanie and I recorded his jingle. It was the theme song for his exercise show. So we started back then. And then as I progressed and went through my years of singing, I would include her. And then with the resurgence of classic rock and roll, which I believe was in the 90s, I want to say 80s, 90s, somewhere around there. I can't even remember. It all kind of comes together. That's when I said, Stephanie, you're going to be on stage with me. I'm not just going to go and be, here's Dodie Stevens, and I'm singing Pink Shoelaces and the other songs that I was singing. I'm like, you're going to be right there with me. And so we've been singing together for couple decades at least. Wow. in that capacity. Yeah. And then when I started writing my songs recently, I started songwriting in the mid 80s, but it wasn't until later that I started concentrating more on motivational and inspirational songs. And I started writing those. And of course, Stephanie was a part of it. And we recorded an album called Affirmasong, The Game of Life. And that was in, I believe, 2018, I want to say 2019 and 19. And then just when the album was finished, end of 2019, we were getting ready to take it on the road.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. 2020. Need I say more? COVID-19. That was it, brother.
Yeah.
So until recently. And so now, now 2 years later, we're ready to do it again. Oh, we're ready. We're ready.
So what is coming up for you? Have you got perhaps projects? And I guess that tour is happening, right?
Well, we're looking to get this Affirmasong, The Game of Life, on the road so we can take it in concert. It's the project is really, it's not just a concert. We're going to see Dodie and Stephanie Stevens. They're going to be singing these songs. It's like a self-help. These songs are all self-help, inspirational, motivational. So it's like a lecture and a concert. So it's a lecture in song form. So you would go to like, say, you'd go to hear a motivational speaker like maybe Tony Robbins. I'm using him as an example. If you know do you know who I'm talking about?
Don't think so.
Okay, baby doll. He's just, once again, a guru of inspirational, motivational speakers. And there's many others that have followed. But so this has been going on for years. And thousands of people fill his auditoriums just to hear him give them some advice and encouragement and enthusiasm and motivation. And, people need that because this is a tough world that we live in. And so my idea with Affirm-a-Song was, I'm not just going to be like another motivational speaker that gets up and says, oh, I've done this and I've done that. And if you do this, then you can do that and life will be good. I'm doing it. I'm telling you a little bit how the song came to be. And then I'm giving you the message in that song. That's all. I'm just saying it in a song form. So it's like a lecture and a concert combined. So I believe that's the uniqueness of it.
Yeah.
And also easy to remember. Songs are easy to remember. It impresses the mind, and the mind is very, very powerful. And if you have not learned that yet, Toby, it's time you do.
Yeah.
Because it'll make all the difference in the world. If you rule your mind, you will rule your world.
Yeah.
It's very powerful. And I didn't know that until I was 27. And that's when I came into that truth. Yeah. But I didn't start really writing about all that kind of stuff until recently. Well, the last 10 years is what I want to say, is when I started writing motivational, inspirational.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, where can we keep up to date with you everywhere and follow you?
How can they do that? Stephanie, you want to talk to my daughter?
Sure.
She can come over here and I'm going to scoot over a little.
Yeah.
So where can they well, they can go to my website,
DodieStevens.com, which is also linked into affirmasong.com, which tells you about the whole new music project that we're currently working on. So either affirmasong.com, DodieStevens.com, they're linked together. There's samples of the music that you can hear, also available for download on the website.
Yeah.
So yeah, we got that. And the other thing I wanted to say is that a lot of my writing comes from current events, if you know what I mean, like things that have just happened. It's like when I wrote the song "When," I wrote it after the Paris terror attacks, and so that touched me. So like, oh God, when will this end? So I wrote that song. I wrote a song recently. Well, recently I wrote it in 2020 after I don't know if you heard about it in your country, but the George Floyd incident.
Well, of course they did.
Of course,
I think the whole world
heard
about that. But that prompted
that prompted my song called "Respect Me," and
which
that's
also
right.
There's a couple of videos too. A couple of these songs, "Respect Me," I believe, is on the affirmasong.com website, where you can actually hear the song and see a video. We're not performing the video; it's just kind of a generic video.
Of what the lyrics are about.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then the other one, there's "Respect Me," and another one was
"It Is What It Is."
It is what it is. Yeah, it is what it is.
Which we've all used that phrase at one time.
Yeah.
Right. And it's a good one, because if you fight it, resist it, battle it, go against it, no good is going to come from it. So it's just like, it is what it is, and it'll become what it was. I mean, what it is from what it was. So let's just,
go with the flow of it.
Yes. Be positive and go with the flow. And that's what the Affirm-a-Song game of life, that's what it's all about, the songs. And like Stephanie said, the samples of all the songs are on the website. On the website, affirmasong.com.
Great. Well, many thanks for joining us today. It's been great to have you on the show.
Thank you.
Thank you so very much. It was just so nice to be with you.